Hey, everybody. Welcome to Love and Reload, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, a.k.a. the lesser good-looking Ben on the show today. And I'm joined by personal favorite, Ben Sookia, global immigration expert, host of the forthcoming Migrant podcast, soon to be released, and author of 5 books, also not yet released.
It will happen.
Ben, how are you doing today?
I'm doing relatively well. This feels a lot more formal than when we speak to each other in our pajamas at 1 o'clock in the morning. But
I feel like you look like you're coming to me from a cave somewhere outside London. Where are you? Where are you right now?
I'm in Alexandra Palace, North London. Not in the palace. I'm not in a palace, but I'm in North London in a place called.
Do they have electricity outside the palace?
No, there's been a power cut, and I've just got my ring light, and I don't know how long this will last. So let's just go with the flow, and if I drop out, then
can't wait.
See what happens.
Can't wait. Hey, everybody! I want to know who you are, where you are right now. I think we got some Mauritians tuning in. It looks like just based on the Facebook population we got on right now. Go ahead and leave it in the comments. I want to know who you are, where you are, what you're up to. Do you have power? What are your thoughts on the Super League? What are your thoughts on football versus proper American football? What are your thoughts on technology? We're going to talk about all of these things and more.
Yes.
We're going to talk about Clubhouse. We're going to talk about all sorts of things today. I think
I've got some things, Ben, that I want to get off my chest tonight.
Hey, man, you're dying your dance floor, brother. Let's do it. What's up? What's on your mind?
Let's start with technology, because I know you're a big fan of stuff like Clubhouse.
Are you going to make me answer for Clubhouse right now?
I thought you were sponsored by Clubhouse.
I am. I'm getting those Clubhouse checks right now. Getting those pre-IPO Clubhouse checks.
I think Clubhouse is great, but I think what it needs and what we need is greater analysis when it comes to stuff like that. And I want to have this conversation today.
All right, let's talk about it. We got before we get in there, I just want to respect the people that came here. Janet Turner, my 2 favorite Bens. Yo, shout out Ben Heller. Can somebody let Ben Heller know Janet has gone on record? He's at best 3rd. Can just somebody let him? Nicola, what's up? Good evening, friends. Tuning in from Germany. The Germans are here. Valerie McKenzie, 2nd time today. Val, we got to stop meeting like this. This is great. In Houston, Amanda, hey, from Phoenix and Urban Bound. It's beautiful here. Thanks for rubbing that in, Amanda. What's the temp like over there in Fahrenheit, please? Ben Sookia.
About 10 degrees. Oh, Fahrenheit, I have no clue. 10 Celsius. Fahrenheit, 40 maybe? I don't know. Sorry.
40? It's 40 degrees right now in London? Can somebody look that up, please? Can we get a more reliable source for London weather here in the comments?
In fact, you know what we'll do tonight? We won't just make it conversation between Ben Cross. Because I've got some opinions. I'm an opinionated person. Let's get the opinions of the people in the comments. They might agree with me. They might agree with Ben. They might have a different opinion. But let's hear what they've got to say, and we can read out what they've got to say.
Please.
Does that sound cool?
Yes, I love opinions. Please bring these opinions. They do not have to be good opinions. They do not have to be well-researched. They don't even have to be based in fact at all. In fact, you could even log in anonymously and leave these opinions. Roberta Minocchio, hello from Brazil. What's up, Roberta? Hola. Sandra Clary, Ben Squared always draws a crowd logging in from Alexandria. Team Beans in the house. Team Beans. Now, that is a controversial position that Sandra's taking there. She is pro beans in her chili. Do you have an opinion? Do you know what chili is? Do you have an opinion?
Chili con carne. Yeah, I mean, I've never had chili without beans. Who has chili without beans? That's just spaghetti.
It's called chili con carne, not chili con frijoles, man.
Chili con carne. Yeah.
Yeah.
With beans. You have it without beans.
Carne means meat.
Yeah, but you also have it with beans, meat and beans.
I prefer not to, but Sandra is pro beans.
Well, Sandra is right, in my opinion.
Wow. Okay. All right. British chili expert Ben Sookia tuning in today. Mary Lee Bratt from Minnesota. What's up, Mary Lee? Fernando Donadon from Brazil.
We've got my friend Damien here and Zara. I'm going to talk about Zara a bit later when we go over the top 5, but we'll get to that later.
Can't wait. It's been too long, Zara. 63 Fahrenheit in London, not bad. Thank you, Zara. Thank you. Finally, a sensible person here. Love it. Let's see. I'm just kidding. I'm really being hard on Ben right now.
I think you should be. Tough love.
Tough love. Samir, hello from Silicon Valley. What's up? Jill Parteka checking in from Michigan. All right. Brenda Thoney Johnson from Minnie. What's up? This is great. East London in the house. Corrine. Janet, you're such an instigator. Listen. You know Corrine?
Corrine's a good friend of mine. She used to work with me. We used to argue like brother and sister, just like you and I argue tonight. So we used to do that.
Who's the sister? Jill Parteka. What? Chili, no beans. That is just silly. That's silly chili. Jilly.
It is silly.
Whatever. Anyway, Brazil's in the house. Patricia, the queen, is here. I love it.
I also want to refer back to something that Patricia said. So that will be my first section of this conversation.
Beans. Chili is not chili without beans. Who are these people? Houston, and I'm pulling your Texas card. All right, Ben, where do we start? I'm gonna let you go first. We do have a request for your Christmas tree to bring that back. I don't know, when did you take that down? About a week ago. We need to bring that back.
You'll have to wait until December. But
all right, go ahead, Ben. All kidding aside, I mean, maybe not permanently, but
I'd like to talk about my concerns tonight with technology. You're laughing at me already.
Yes,
you're laughing at me already.
I'm laughing with you. Go ahead.
I think we're living in a world now where technology is important. Clubhouse is really important, and WhatsApp and TikTok and all that kind of stuff. Roman Zelechenko is a big pioneer of those types of platforms, as are you and Christine Caldwell. But tonight I'd like to maybe look at it in a different way and see maybe what we need to think about if we're going to continue to use these platforms. And I'd like to start by maybe telling you a story to maybe describe where my concerns are, and if you give me some time, I'll explain through that story what I think the problem is. Does that sound good to you? Do you want to hear the story?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. Tell me a story.
I want to tell you about my most important client, my most lucrative long-term client. I'm going to reveal them publicly. They've been fantastic, but in recent months they have become a challenge to me because of technology. And those people, those clients, are Khalid and Susie Sookia, my parents. And they're watching this right now. They're probably smiling and laughing at this. And I want to give you an example of what happens. What happens been happening in recent months.
Are they paying you or what? What's going on?
Well, I mean, they've been great. They've been fantastic. They're shrewd clients. They compensate me well, but they've become quite problematic. And the reason is because of technology. So what happens is I get in my car, drive down the A406, pull up in the driveway, and open my car door, and I have two things in my hands. Yeah, my hands are full. I've got one bag of unwashed, unironed shirts ready. And in the Ben, I'm being serious. Okay, this is the best.
You're going to your parents' house with your laundry. Okay, continue.
Well, you should ask my mum. My mum actually enjoys it. It's a hobby of hers.
I'm sure she does.
In the other hand, what do you think I have? Come on.
Hopefully a gift. Money? I don't know. Food? Provisions?
At least 3 to 4 empty boxes of Tupperware.
Oh, you're gotta be out of your mind. Out of your.
Well, again, look. You're saying this.
You're bringing your dirty dishes and your dirty laundry to your parents' house.
Ben, you're seeing this wrong. I'm doing them a favor. I'm helping them. Giving. If they were here right now, they would really.
Can we get the Mauritians to check in here? I know there's.
I would. They're quiet, but they're
cultural, or is this normal? Okay, go ahead.
Mum, speak up. Anyway, look. Let me continue. So this is all going very well for me. Got my Tupperware, got my clothes. Walk in the house, kiss my parents. I discreetly deposit some unwashed, unironed shirts in the laundry basket. I know they're going to get dealt with. There's no timeline on that, but it will happen. And then usually I get offered a cup of tea and maybe a nice slice of cake. My dad makes excellent banana cake with walnut. This is all going very well for me up to this point, as you can imagine. I've got food. They're welcoming me. But suddenly, Ben, in the blink of an eye, the tables turn. And before I know it, you know, they're being nice, they're being welcoming, I've got all this nice stuff. Suddenly, I see an iPad or an iPhone, or both actually. And they slip it in with, the way they do it is quite incredible. It's just a quick question, Something's happened with my Facebook. I'm not able to do this, or my Facebook is frozen. I'm not able to do this. I've got a problem with my email. You know, just some brief tech questions, but they start off brief and they go on and on. And suddenly I go from being like the VIP to IT support, for, you know, permanent IT support. And the questions they have can take several hours for me to deal with. I mean, can you imagine?
Do you ever think maybe you should be better at it? Maybe it wouldn't take so long.
You're right.
So now you're doing is your technical services actually taking longer than the laundry and the dishwashing to do? Are you actually?
I don't know about
in the negative now.
I think they're making a profit for sure. They're getting the better deal out of this, and I don't know how it's happened.
So what is your takeaway from your parents now have an iPad and it's ruining the services they provide to you?
So I'm being silly. Well, actually, I'm being honest. But there is an important point to this that I would like to raise, and that is the more technology that we have, the more clubhouses that we have, the more stuff that there will be for us to learn, but not just for you and me, but for my parents. And it's not even just my parents, because this goes back to the point that Patricia raised about technology, and she said she's not a technology person. And I understand that. And I understand that we have all these platforms, but, you know, it's a headache for me. And not just a headache, it's great that they want to learn, but the more new platforms there are going to be.
Want to learn.
No, it is great, because I think we need to include people of different generations with these platforms.
It's important to broaden their interest beyond laundry and dishes. I mean,
yeah,
I think
it is. But the more platforms that we have, the more questions that we have, and the more we're going to be overloaded cognitively. And is that actually going to be effective? Like, what we actually need to ask ourselves is, what is the point of Clubhouse? Are we actually here to do something? What's the purpose? And also, the other thing is, I know Janet's great on Clubhouse, so I know she might raise some questions, but it's not easy for everyone to use. Fiona and I have had these conversations, and we need to think about, I know you're laughing. Let me just finish this point. We talk about diversity and equity and inclusion, and that's really important. And I know people feel very strongly about that. But what we need to do when we have these apps like Clubhouse is remember that to include all people in them and to educate people in them as well. Because I think we can't continue using more and more platforms and more people, not just my parents, but maybe people like Patricia and Fiona, maybe get left behind.
You know the story you're telling. So I knew we were going to disagree about every single point you raised today, and here it goes. So I'm going to take the out. You know that literally, I mean, this is a hilarious story, obviously, but I can't help but think about the parallels that you're using as a member of the patriarchy. This is the same logic that people were using, at least in this country, to argue why, you know, black people and women shouldn't read, because it was going to distract them from their duties. Okay, like, so now you can't give your mom and dad technology because it's going to distract them from their ability to wash your clothes and do your dishes.
Yeah. My point was raised in a humorous way.
I know it's humorous. I know you're not being serious right now, but I mean, anyway. So okay. Let's see. We got a couple comments coming in.
Yeah.
Let's boil this down. Let's boil this down actually to the real question. And I think this is the real question. And correct me if I'm wrong. But at what point does the technology become too much and consume so much of our time and cognitive ability, to use your words?
Exactly.
That it almost becomes debilitating.
Exactly.
Is that kind of where you're going?
That's exactly where I'm going. And if we are going to use them, then people like me and people like you and people that do use them should have a responsibility to educate people of all generations, not just the millennials, not people who are younger than us, but people that are 10, 15, 20 years older than us, because we shouldn't leave them behind. We need to be intergenerational. That is a part of diversity as well. But it is the point that you raised.
So I guess these are kind of like different questions. These are two different questions. One is it too much technology? And the second is, if we're going to go down this route, how do we make sure that we don't leave people behind?
Exactly.
You know, Janet Turner says, I can barely keep up. You know what though, Janet? I mean, but here's the thing, I feel the same way. I'm probably like one of the people that people look at and think, oh, Ben's always doing new stuff and he's always out there and whatever. But I mean, Janet, I can barely keep up too. I mean, I think we feel the same way. And my concern is around the iteration. Like, technology is iterating faster than ever. So it's kind of like doing this like curve, you know? Maybe is that curve going the wrong way for the people at home? Okay, it's doing like kind of this curve, you know? And then now it's just iterating so fast that it does make it extremely hard to keep up. You're constantly asking yourself, is this relevant? I.e., do I need to learn this, or is it going to go away and I never have to learn it? And I think these are real questions. I'd love to ask the people. I'd love to ask the people out there, what are your thoughts about this? Amanda Rakowski saying yes, way too much. Yeah, I mean, what do you propose though, Amanda? Do we just stay with LinkedIn and never do anything more? I mean,
what I would like to say is we need to ask ourselves, and I really, if Clubhouse has a purpose and it's an effective one, then we should use Clubhouse. But for me, you know, I've always been known as the emotionally intelligent person, or probably for the last few years, I guess.
Is this a self-appointed nickname, or is this like other people use this? Can we verify?
The Emperor of Empathy. No, I've defined myself. It's me.
The Emperor of Empathy when I got my laundry up.
What I want to say is, in my opinion, and I know people disagree, technology is just a tool. It's just a tool. And I want to give you an analogy. You and I both love good food. We both like to cook. When we go in the kitchen, yes, we use appliances to make that good food. We use cutlery to eat the food. But the sensation, the emotion, the joy, the pleasure, that comes when we put the food in our mouth. That's an emotional feeling. We don't say, this is a fantastic fork. We say, this is a fantastic focaccia, or, you know, it's about the emotion, and technology is there to serve the end purpose. We shouldn't be obsessing and kind of titillating over this technology as if that is the be all. Technology is there to serve the end purpose, and the end purpose is connection.
Yeah, and I get you. Yeah, the end purpose, right? Like, so then the question becomes, what does this technology allow me to do, right? So if technology is an augmenting, you know, is a tool of augmentation, where it makes you able to do more things than you were able to do before. What is it allowing us to do? What does Clubhouse? I think the question becomes, what does Clubhouse allow us to do that we can't already do with LinkedIn, with Insta, with, you know, Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. Brian Limperopoulos says Clubhouse is a brilliant app for collaboration. Yeah, I'd love to know, what do you see in Clubhouse that, where are you on Clubhouse? Are you in, are you out? First of all, if you're in the comments right now, I want to know, are you on Clubhouse, or are you not on Clubhouse? And if you are on Clubhouse, I want to know why. Brian says Clubhouse is a brilliant app for collaboration, but I see it having a limited community, although the community on there is vibrant. Why is it limited, Brian? What do you mean it's a limited community? How so? See, I see that changing, though. I mean, I think it's just a matter of time till most, maybe not most, but the community's growing, no?
It is growing. If you look at the way to tell if it's working is by looking if other apps are using them. I think Twitter, if they're not doing it already, they're testing it or exploring a voice
Twitter
feature.
Voices.
It does exist. Yeah. So that tells you that, you know, actually maybe it is useful. It is a platform. People want to communicate in that way. I'm not trying to dismiss Clubhouse or any technology. I'm just saying, if we're going to use it.
That's exactly your premise. That's exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to dismantle. I think you used the word dismantle.
I did.
You're trying to dismantle it. I mean,
we should go back to writing letters and being, you know, talking on the phone.
You want to write me a letter? Write me a letter. I'll wait 3 weeks.
Well, give me your address. Let me know what your address is.
Jack Jampel says on Clubhouse, I am getting valuable advice from people I would have never been able to meet, making me better. Yeah, interesting. Faye Hawksworth says, love Clubhouse. It gives us the opportunity to connect across our entire industry. Yeah. Hey, shout out to Faye, by the way. I don't know if you can see this here. This Love and Relo sign right here. Love and Relo. Faye sent me that. Last night I opened it. Faye, that was amazing. You also sent me, real quick, I'm sorry, I know this is supposed to be
no.
Faye also sent me this amazing speaker right here that I can put in my pocket and just jam out. Like if I go to a convention or something, I'll just throw it in there. I got a little dance party to go. It's pretty amazing. Janet does point out that Clubhouse is limited to Apple users only. Vinny Valverde points out he's a little late, but he showed up anyway. He hopes all is well. Thank you, Vinny. Appreciate your being here. What do you think about Clubhouse, Vin? Brian says iPhone. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Vinny.
Oh.
Real quick. One more comment here from people here. Brian Liparopoulos says iPhone requirement, limited amount of time for a new social media platform to break through and reach scale before people dismiss it.
So when Susie and Khalid come to me in 3 months or 4 months and they say, it's got a quick question. This Clubhouse, can you tell me how to use it? I can give them your phone number.
What is so hard about this? You log into it. It goes like, guys, this is, you want a Clubhouse tutorial? Here goes. See that little lady's face right there looking up at the sky? I'm in it now, okay? And now I just, okay, dating game. Shoot your shot with the sexiest singles on Clubhouse. I'm in, you know? And then you listen, right, Susie? How hard is that, Susie? You shoot your shot.
She'll be logging on right now.
There you go, Suze. All right. No, I'm just kidding. That's the first one that popped up. I don't know. I get the weirdest rooms curated for me. I don't know why. It's
probably usually what you search, Ben.
Yeah, it's all Bitcoin and black singles. That's all I get on here. It's like it's very weird. I don't know. Their algorithms are just a scotch off. Let's see. Elizabeth Martin, Clubhouse. I found that people are more open than ever. Yeah, cool. Vinny says, I love Clubhouse as well. Join us on Clubhouse this coming Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. Let's celebrate our wins and grow together.
Yeah. Brings people together. I think that's great.
Elizabeth Martin loves the speaker. I think my Clubhouse is going off right now. Maybe I do need a tutorial here, actually.
See?
Hey, if you're not on Clubhouse and Ben Sookia hasn't dissuaded you from joining, reach out and I will send you a link to join. Massimo, you know this guy.
Massimo is one of my favorites. Hello. Sorry.
Wait, you wave to him again? Since we're talking about new technology. Go ahead and wave. Go ahead and wave to him. Can't we go back to writing letters and waving at each other? I'll send you a photograph of me waving at you, Massimo. Right back soon. When I was a youngster and started smoking, I thought it was cool. So he's comparing Clubhouse to smoking. Okay. So we're all going to quit and use a patch and vape soon. Let's see here. Nicola says, I am only concerned about the value we are bringing to the discussion exchange in our community if we are switching platforms all the time. I've heard that one of the reasons Clubhouse is successful is because we are all fatigued by Zoom. I mean, there are pros and cons to everything. I'm still very much just a listener on Clubhouse. Amanda's asking for an iPhone as well. The iPhone will come from Mr. Sookia. The login will come from me.
Absolutely.
Check your mailbox. Global Mobility Clubhouse in Brazil every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Brazil time. Ben Sookia, come join.
Eu posso. Sim. Quero falar em português.
Eric Masadi's asking, when do we get Ben's take on the ESL saga?
Should we do that now, or should we do the top five?
Let's wrap this Clubhouse conversation up. Here's my answer to the question of like, what's the point about Clubhouse? To me, you can have much more nuanced conversations because, like, if I'm texting or writing something in the comments, it's easy to get, those misconstrued, if you will. And it's a lot easier to give a hot take, especially because it's not recorded, it's not public. Give a hot take on something, a personal perspective. Somebody, I'm going to pick on Jack. Jack's in there. He says, yeah, but Ben, that doesn't make sense because of whatever. You don't have data on that. And I'll say, yeah, but Jack, I don't need data because I got XYZ. And he's like, yeah, but if you do XYZ, then how about ABC? And I say, well, but you know, B, yes, C, yes, A, no, and then we understand one another better 5 minutes later, right? You can't have that kind of back and forth on LinkedIn comments. You can't have that back and forth. I mean, I can have that with you right now. We're having that, but I can't have that with like everybody in the comments right now. And I like having the nuance because I think that this is a pendulum swing back from everything has to be a 5-second soundbite, everything has to be 140 characters, everything has to be we distill things down to headlines, right? And headline culture, right? Everything's got to be like a headline, but there's so much nuance that's lost in the headlines, and I think that's
do you think we're moving away from that kind of narrative then, just quick 30-second video clips? Do you think we should be moving more to longer, more explorative discussions?
Yeah, I think so, which is why I do an hour. I mean, people always say, Ben, why do you do an hour? You know, I'm like, because you can actually get to the bottom of things in an hour. The second half of this is always better than the first half. Hopefully that's true today, you know. And so I think that's why we do an hour show, you know. I also think that people, you know, we talk about technology. I think that voice is the most underrated technology we have. Voice,
I agree with that.
I can speak faster than I can type. I can speak faster than I can read. I can give you way more intonation, body language, you know, emphasis in my speech than I can with emojis or whatever.
Yeah.
So to me, I mean, voice is a supremely effective technology.
I think I think for me, the benefit of voice over visual or texting is that yes, you can say more, but also you can actually expose yourself. You can be more vulnerable rather than looking. People prefer to listen to podcasts, I believe, than watching shows or speaking, because you don't see someone looking at you, so you can actually feel free to share your opinions. I think a lot of people think that way, so that is a positive. I think there are pros and cons. The only thing I would like to say is if Clubhouse is the chosen platform, and I don't think there should be loads of them, then we need to bring all people and educate all people so that they can understand and use it, because we will end up living in a world where there's 15 different platforms and then we'll all get lost, and I don't think that will be effective.
Yeah, but that's like 15 different newspapers. Was that a problem back in the day? Like, oh gosh, there's too many different newspapers. I don't know what to read. Are they all important?
Well, like, newspapers are different. If we're communicating with each other, I think probably the best, in my opinion, the best way is to have 2 or 3 simple platforms, whether it's Clubhouse and Zoom or LinkedIn, because there will be more. Clubhouse is just one. There's going to be more. There's WeChat as well in China. There's many of them. There's WhatsApp, there's Slack, there's Discord. So I think people will get lost. And I think if there is one platform where you can do all of those things, or as many of those things as possible, then that would be the ideal platform, if possible.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I also don't think everybody has to be on everything. You know, there was a notion, Christine Caldwell, who I do Clubhouse with a lot. You know, she talks about, she kind of subscribes to the Gary V mentality, which is, you know, you need to taste every little one out there and play with them all so that A, you understand the features and functionality, because those will be the features and functionality of new and successive apps and platforms. And B, because you need to start having a presence on all of them. So if one of them does take off, you've been on it for a while, right? And I mean, that's cool. But I mean, going back to like the newspaper, I mean, let's look at technology. Let's look at these things as platforms, right? Let's compare them to other platforms of the past: books, pamphlets, newspapers, radio, television. Were we all like, were we? And maybe we were. I don't know. Maybe I should ask some of the older people that are watching this right now. When the TV came out, where people were like, oh my gosh, there's too much media. You know, when am I ever going to find the time to watch all this television? Because now my newspaper reading has gone down. Like, I mean, I think people are going to gravitate towards what they like, and they're going to consume a lot of the same content, because we're all people making content. They're going to consume it in the way they like to consume it. I hear you on the, like, we need to get people, like, we need to get, whether it be older groups or maybe a different type of a group, you know, onto things, but I don't know. Like, isn't that what creates markets? Like, aren't we
my concern is cognitive overload if people are overloaded. But I actually see a lot of your points. I think this is why debate is important, because we actually agree on certain things and disagree on certain things, and to have the conversation is important.
Jack Jampel says the best platforms will survive, like any other business.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Jack. Anytime Jack Jampel and I agree, pretty much take that to the bank. That's how that works. Sophia hasn't joined yet. Let's publicly shame Sophia, and then somebody please send her an invitation. Valerie McKenzie, only Clubhouse has a Ben Cross and a Christine Caldwell championing for our industry. Thank you, Val. That's so sweet. Appreciate that very much. Yeah, Clubhouse has definitely grown a lot, and it's going to continue to grow. Stephen Meyer. I mean, this guy's a great example of what you're talking about, right? So this guy's a household goods driver, right? You know, household goods drivers are severely underrepresented. I want
to talk about that actually.
Destination services consultants. You know, these are the boots on the ground people that are actually delivering the service that we all purport to know about and we're all experts in. But these are actually the people on the ground in the home, and yet they're not in these conversations. Right?
I want to talk about that next in our next section.
Go.
Actually,
talk about it.
No, do you want to do the top 5 first or at the end? What do you want to do?
Usually that goes at the end.
Okay, cool. Shall we move on to talk about the big one? Or do you want to? Is there anything?
I mean, we can talk about whatever you want. Yeah, let's talk.
Let's talk about sports, because I think this is a tough one for me because I care so much. I'm very passionate about my football team. People that know me, you know, there are football fans watching this, Spurs fans that are suffering because they're waiting 4,809 days waiting to win another trophy. Judy and Michael. But we're not here to talk about how bad they are. I want to talk about the European Super League, and I want to talk to people that don't know about it, and I want to talk to people that do know about it, and I want to try and explain to you why it matters. And again, perhaps we'll enter into some debate or disagreement. But I want to start.
We're going to disagree. We're going to disagree.
We might disagree. We might not. We'll see. But I want to pick up on the point that you just raised about Stephen, was it, who's a driver, and am I right in saying it sounds to me like you personally identify with these types of people in the industry, and they deserve more of a voice, and they deserve. Is that they deserve more?
I empathize with them. I don't know if I identify with them.
Okay.
But I mean, I do. I empathize with them, and one of the purposes of the show is to provide a voice to people that wouldn't normally get a voice. You know,
and that's why I think it's really important. And where I'm going with this is I want to talk about. I will connect this to global mobility, and feel free to
please do, because we are running out of time.
Give me some time. Football was invented by
how far back are we
going? Wait. Listen. What I want to say is the important people in our industry are not just the people that are attorneys or the corporates. It's the people that are movers and the people that do the hard work, and they deserve more of a voice. And football was invented by people that in some ways were quite similar. It was invented over 100 years ago, but it was invented by people that were workers, or they worked in factories or coal mines, or they didn't have opportunities. And they came up with this sport that was beautiful and gave people hope. And it was about one team playing against another, and maybe one team had more money or had better players, but on their day, one team could beat the other. And it was about dreams and hopes and aspirations. And it was about values like honesty, integrity, and trust, which are all important with and identify with many of us. And what's happened is in the years that have gone by, it's become more commercial, and it's become more about TV rights and, you know, big companies and people investing into sports teams. And that's what's happened in the last 10 to 15 years, when you've had foreign owners buy these football clubs. And what they tried to do a week ago is, I know you're laughing, but let me.
I see this anti-American rhetoric coming.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But no, let's do this. Let's do this.
I want to hear this long, drawn-out British explanation of what's going on. Yes.
Well, I think
honor, integrity, honesty, all these things that the game was founded on.
But that's really important. Do you not agree with that?
I don't know that that's a fact, that the game was founded on these pillars. I mean, was this written? Is this codified in the rules?
So the game was created in the 1850s, and it was the people that founded the Football Association in this country were people that were either, there were, it was a broad mix, but it was people that didn't have opportunities, and it was football clubs were created by communities of people in local villages or
that I agree with. That I understand that football was created by people. But I mean, we're imbuing all these other altruistic things into the game, like honor, integrity, honesty. Like it sounds. I think people probably wanted something to do on their lunch break, and so they started kicking around the ball. No, I mean,
no. I think it's more than that. And by the way, people, if you have views on this, do comment. Whoever, whether you've watched the show or not. It's not just about England, by the way. It's also about. I want to talk about Brazil, because football in Brazil is an incredible thing. And it gives people that have little hope, little money, poor people in the streets of Sao Paulo or Rio or other cities, the opportunity to have dreams that they can one day become the next big superstar, when actually they have nothing. They're born into poverty. But if they can be the best footballer and play for the local clubs and then play for the bigger clubs and sign for the big clubs, maybe they will bring hope and money to their families. And that's not just in Brazil, that's in England and in many other countries. So there is something special about the sport, and it is a working class sport. It's not founded by people that have money. Vinny's made a comment. It might be worth.
Oh, you want me to gonna say it? Yeah. Who cares about ESL South America?
No, sorry, did it?
It's better by Corinthians.
He said it's true about the greatest sport on earth. And Massimo, do comment, please. Anyone watching this, whether they agree with that.
Do you want to do my job, and I'll
sorry. Okay.
Unfounded beliefs about football.
Go
ahead.
What happened in the last 10 to 15 years is it was bought, and that's fine. No one's disputing that you can buy a football club. But what they tried to do, this group of 6 owners from different countries, not just the United States, was they tried to create a closed league, a monopoly, where they said that these biggest clubs, the most rich clubs or the richest clubs, would create a league where you can't get relegated, you can't get demoted, and there would be no opportunities for the smaller clubs to even have a chance really to participate in it. And they would spread the wealth between them. These billionaires would spread the wealth of all the revenue that they would get. And they wouldn't spread it down. It wouldn't funnel down like the pyramid that it currently is. And it would just go between the owners. And that greed is what people in this country.
This is literally the argument for Brexit. This is literally the argument. The argument for Brexit is the UK's carrying the EU. We're making all the money. We're doing all the work. We're contributing more than our fair share. Therefore, then why do we have to split it equally with everybody else? Why can't we keep all the money that we're generating, the GDP, et cetera, et cetera? So the UK splits from the EU, and your teams are Brexiting you. Why? I don't understand why we don't see it the same. Like, why we don't see these things as like part and parcel of the same activity. It's greed and nationalism. Go ahead.
So the teams, what they tried to do is form a team with other European countries. So that they actually tried to split from, ironically, you say that the UK voted for Brexit, and now these owners are actually trying to become part of a European league and cut out the British teams that don't have money.
They can't play themselves. They can't play themselves, so they had to join with somebody. So they joined with the other top team.
But the money that this is going to now that they tried to stop is not just the clubs in the divisions below. It's people, schools, it's grassroots football, people that actually do this, that are non-professionals, they do it for out of the pleasure. They don't make money out of it. And these clubs at the moment in the English leagues actually disperse some of their profit to these lower league clubs. So I think, if we're going back to the donut conversation that we had, it's completely anti-donut. And I think it's really important. And I think, I understand your point of view and understand the money thing, and I understand if you buy something, you should have the right to be able to do that. But I also think that it's not right if you're a billionaire and you're creating a monopoly with billionaires. And actually, the worst thing is going against the principles of sporting merit. And I want to talk now, maybe slowly move the conversation onto the global mobility industry, because although what's happened in football is horrible, I'm more concerned about whether there are elements of this that are more concerning in the industry that we work in. Not terrible, but concerning. But
okay,
I do.
Let's see. We got some comments coming in. I want to hear your comments and thoughts on what's going on with the Super League. Eric Masadi, my buddy here. I love the European football system, and I love the American sports system. I think companies or soccer clubs have ability to reorganize. That said, any organization should consider their customers before they make an adjustment. Yeah, I mean, because Eric and I over here in the U.S. have watched, sports. I mean, your team leaves the league and goes and plays with better teams in a new league. It's still your team and it's still playing in your city. What happens if you're a, Cleveland Browns fan from way back and you got all the jerseys and you and your family went to games and this and that. And then you wake up one day and you hear the Art Modell move the team to Baltimore. They're now called the Ravens.
It wouldn't happen in this country. It wouldn't happen in England. It wouldn't happen. There would be riots. There would be riots, and there were riots last week.
So you still have your team, you still have your club, you still have the same name. They're just playing better competition for bigger stakes. So, is it a competition if you're in a group of 10 teams and no team can ever get demoted into the league below? That goes against the principles of sporting. Relegation is unique. I don't know that relegation exists in any other league in any other sport. I don't think you have to have relegation in order for it to feel legitimate.
But doesn't that take the excitement of the fact that your team can become great and win a tournament, or
it's exciting, but you could compensate by not having ties. There's other things you could do to add some excitement to the game. I don't think you have to. Relegation is a cool wrinkle, and I love I think it's really neat. I think relegation is really neat. I think it should have it in D1 athletics here in the States. But you don't have to have relegation to have people have competition. It definitely makes the bottom half of the league more interesting, I would say. But let's see. Yeah. Go ahead.
You can have teams at the bottom beating teams at the very top. I think what we need to do, Ben, is when you get yourself to London, we need to get you to a game. We need to get you to not one of the best clubs. We need to get you to like Millwall or one where there's like rough and ready, so you can see the passion and the love that
I'm down. I'm down for that. Vinny says, you would think the Millwalls of the league would want those other teams to leave because they probably get their butt kicked every time they play, right? They probably want to have less competition. There almost needs to be another echelon, doesn't it? Or don't these teams that left, don't they just normally dominate most of the league anyway?
No. What happened that was amazing a couple of years ago is a team called Leicester City that would have been relegated a year or 2 years before actually won the league. They beat these biggest teams in the Crystal Palace, another great team. But you can actually get lower league teams at the very bottom, winning entire tournaments, beating the best team. And I think that's amazing. And it gives people a fair and equal playing field, I think, which we need more of.
Let's see here. We got some great comments coming in. ESL, this is from, I think, Judy Copnall. ESL was a complete disgrace. No regards for fans, the history of the football pyramid. Who wants to watch football without relegation or giant killings?
There you go. Thank you, Judy. It's a good conversation.
This is great. We seem to have found the British echo chamber. Corinne, the beauty of English football is that small league and grassroots teams can one day work their way up to the championship and Premier Leagues. The Super League was a direct contradiction of the principles that were intended in football. Yeah, no, I dig that. That's cool.
Vinny, what did Vinny say?
Venetius say? Venetius said, in the last few decades, it has been extremely hard to follow football for the fans. The players no longer have the passion for the clubs. It's all about the money. This is happening in every single country and the local level. Vinny says, I disagree. In order to maintain competitive, teams should have the ability to move up or down. Also, we cannot compare sports in the U.S. with football in the rest of the world. For example, in Sao Paulo, you have at least very competitive 15 to 20 teams in one state. The little ones should have the opportunity to play at the big stage. There you go, Vin.
Thank you, Vinny.
Now let's talk about this though. One other thing I want to talk about here. and you alluded to it. You kind of took my point. I have my football jersey hanging up in the back there. Without relegation, what are they playing for? I mean, how about to win? How about we don't play to like not lose? How about we play to just like win the league? Can't we just like played? What about the love of the game? Don't you just? I mean, all those altruistic values and virtuous values that you imbued on the league. There's no incentive otherwise. So basically, unless you're going to get fired, you have no incentive to work. I mean, this doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, how about this? And I'm sorry, I mean, we're having fun here. I don't mean to like upset anybody. Before I come to like London and get like detained. No, but let's talk about this for a second, right? So you have these billionaire owners, and I mean, I'm sorry, but billionaires going in league with other billionaires. I'm sorry, the league they came from had billionaire owners too, and we'll have billionaire owners. Okay, so they're all a billion. If you own a premier team, you're probably a billionaire.
Correct.
Okay, correct. So like, I mean, we're splitting hairs.
That's true.
So, but these fans, I think it's interesting because I mean, I'm over here with my Dallas Cowboys jersey. I paid, I don't know, close to $200 for that jersey, right? And it's a jersey of a team that I have no ownership in, with a man's name on the back that I've never met. And I think it's interesting that these sports teams can play such a mind trick on us that we're bleeding these colors. But these teams don't care about us. And we don't own these teams.
Well, that's a really important point that you make. That's a big cultural. It's a really big debate now. In Germany, there is a legal requirement for 51% of clubs for there to be voting rights by the fans. And what people will be doing now in this country will be petitioning to the government to have something similar, so that fans do have a legal say in the running of clubs, because we think I don't speak on behalf of all football fans. Thanks, Alistair. I don't speak on behalf of all football fans, but we think generally that there should be more of a say for football fans, because they do care. People care. Like, I really care. Like, Ben, like, if I watch my team and we play a big game on Thursday night coming and we play badly, I'm not talking to anyone for 2 days or a day. You won't hear from me. I might have to act. I might have to pretend. I've gone to that football club and there've been tears coming down my face because I've been so sad, whether it's to do with football or not football. That this football club is in my heart. It really is, and it's probably in the heart of people watching this. So yes, I don't own it, but I feel like I own it, and it makes me feel like I belong to something for the rest of my life. So yeah, I don't formally own it, but I love this football club, and I in my heart I'm part of it, and I always will be.
So do you think that an owner, a billionaire, who paid $1 billion or more, $2 billion, my Dallas Cowboys worth $5.5 billion according to Forbes. By the way, no English Premier team cracked the top 10, but anyway. If I paid $5 billion for this football team, American football team, do I have the right to move it? To move that team from Dallas to New York or Tennessee or London?
I think, this is why, I know we've not talked about how this connects to global mobility, but this is why we go back to the issue of mobility and migration. And adaptability is the word that I would raise to you. So yes, by all means, you can buy it. By all means, you can move it. But I think if you're going to move or buy something in another country, whether you're going to buy something or move and not move, I think you need to adapt and understand the culture and the traditions. And that's where, if I have $1 billion, $5 billion, and I can buy the LA Rams, if I buy that club or whatever it's called, then I would have the expectation that if I either move there and adapt to the culture and adapt and understand the sport, or I stay in my country and I adapt and understand the American culture, I understand the sport and I integrate. And I think the concern of British football fans, sorry, I'm so passionate about this, but I think the concern
Don't cry, Ben.
I'm not crying. I'm more like
I feel like you're about to start.
But I think if you are a billionaire, you should adapt and try and understand, because actually, let's go back 200 years in history when people could buy people, and that didn't really work out well either. Now, I'm not trying to compare it in the same way, of course not, Of course, I'm not trying to do that. But let's not try and say if you can buy something, you can do what you want with it. I think that has failed in the past before.
Well, why? Well, hold on, man. If you comparing buying a football club to slavery, I think that's a leap, man. It's more like buying a house. I mean,
I know. I'm not. Of course, I'm not trying to compare it. I'm not trying to compare. Yeah, I'm not trying to compare it, but I'm trying to say just because you can buy something, it doesn't mean what you can do anything that you want with it.
I think it does. I think that's exactly what it means. When you own something, you could do. Yeah, I mean, so okay. Check this out. Check this out. Say somebody, and I know, and I'm over here. I probably shouldn't be so flippant. I'm having a lot of fun.
No, that's okay. I am as well.
I'm poking things that are like really meaningful to people, and I shouldn't be so. I probably should be a little more empathetic here. So I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. You're being honest.
But I'm gonna continue. I think so. Say somebody buys Arsenal, and they move them to New York City because there's no premiership team in the States. And Vinny's point is, sure, you do, you have the right to move them, but you may lose the fan base. You might. But I'll tell you what, in American sports, they say, yeah, but I could get more fans. Like, say you had the only premiership team in New York City, that you could argue you'd have 5 million fans instantly, and therefore, and then, you have no competition. How many football clubs are there in London and surrounding?
10 to 20. Yeah, there's a bunch. Yeah.
Right. So you're splitting London with 10 to 20 clubs versus you take that to a brand new market. In fact, it would be the only premiership team in all of the United States. So you have 370 million people potentially fan base.
My question to you then, is it just about making money? Is it just about money? And that's not just for sport. That's
but I mean, they bought a business. Why do you buy a business if it's not? I mean, they could have started a charity for a lot less money.
If you speak to sports fans in this country, they won't call it a business. They'll call it a community. And they mean that. I mean that. It's a community. It's about people. There's someone called Maria. She's in her 70s. She has no one. She goes to watch Arsenal every week. Everyone knows her. My friend Shelley, she's a season ticket holder. I know her. We meet at halftime. Dan, who owns a coffee shop. We know people. For us, for the people that go often, it's about community rather than business. And I think that's what you need to try and understand. Just like global mobility is a community for me. It is a business, but for me, it's a community.
I hear you, and you're right. And then Vinny drives the point home over here because now he starts talking. Now, Vinny, why'd you got to make the conversation serious for, Vinny? The Cowboys have been losing the fan base anyways, especially how awesome they've been playing lately. Oh, man, sarcasm. See, Vinny, why are you trying to make me cry now, okay? Listen, and they have not moved from Dallas. No, but you know what? The club is still – this is interesting. The club is worth more than it's ever been worth. It's worth $5.5 billion right now, which has probably doubled in the last 5 years. And which I don't understand why it's worth so much money if – I don't understand how that works, but Vinny says the football fans in the U.S. are not the same. The majority is not very passionate like we are in many countries. Yeah, maybe. There's also like more big sports here, I feel like, too, that kind of distract, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't football in England kind of like on a level
completely
without any parallels? Yeah.
Completely, yeah. And that's different in the United States. It's American football is the biggest sport, and then basketball, baseball.
Yeah, it's football. It's football, probably basketball next. Oh, baseball's baseball is the American pastime, but it's not as relevant. It just doesn't seem as relevant as it used to be.
I didn't enjoy it. I watched it. I found it a bit boring.
I would compare it to cricket, maybe, but I don't know. I don't really watch cricket.
Cricket's boring, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. Mary Lee Brass says some agreements of sellers may put a clause in the contract that they cannot move the team out of the state. For sure. So who sold these teams to these
good question.
Unconscionable American owners?
I've never said that, and I don't think that is. But to answer your question, they had a bunch, at least for my football club, they had a bunch of shareholders who owned 10%, 8%, 12%, and over the years, Stan Kroenke, who's the owner of the Yellow Rams, started to accumulate and buy more and more shares. And at a certain point, fans did own shares. Fans did own a very small percentage of the club. And when he completed his takeover, he took away the shares that the fans owned, and fans no longer owned.
Even he took them away. He didn't buy them. He just took them away.
Okay, yeah, he bought them. He bought them from people that owned those shares as a result of acquiring them from their grandparents or their great grandparents or their family members that are no longer around. So it was a family kind of thing that people would own, and yeah, he did buy them effectively from people.
Yeah,
meaning to.
I'll be honest. Like, if the Green Bay Packers fans did not, if the Green Bay Packers, the city of Green Bay, did not own the Green Bay Packers, the Green Bay Packers football team would not be in Green Bay, Wisconsin anymore. Green Bay has got to be by far the smallest city that has an American football team in it, and it's been a great team. I mean, it's a team that's won championships. They have a great legacy. It's a quality organization. It's got great fans, even though they're in a tiny town. But because they're owned by the city, they've never moved. I'm sure somebody would have moved them by now. So I think if it's really a community, that the community needs to own the club if they're going to ensure that they're not going to change.
You're right. That's what we would like. We would like that to happen again, if possible, or at least have some say. At least have some say, like a percentage of a say, I think.
How many Arsenal fans are there?
It's hard to put a number on that. There's 60,000 that are allowed to go to games in terms of the capacity. There are probably millions around the world. It's hard to say. I don't know.
So I mean, I don't know what that would cost, but think about that. If every fan had kicked in like $200 or 400 or 1,000, I don't even know. Because it's probably worth about $2 billion, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, the owner of Spotify has actually announced that he would like to buy the football club with 3 of the former legendary players just today. He said he'd be interested in buying the club, and I think they're planning on launching a takeover.
Maybe move them to Stockholm or something.
I think so. I mean, that's much easier to get to than New York. So,
Eric says, I think the community argument for European sports makes sense. Ben S. Not all organizations and businesses are run to maximize profits over everything else, but yet they do. But yet somehow they're worth billions and billions of dollars. I mean, it's not by accident. You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting. I think that the owners convincing the fans that it's a community has been a interesting.
They didn't. No, they didn't. They didn't. The community came before. The community was there from the foundations of the club when we were at Dial Square, when we were in South London, and that's for all clubs. But for branding, of course, they still say that we're a community. Of course, if you go on our Instagram, I'm not being anti-American. I'm trying to present
community. It's great. It's community. Okay.
I think so.
Hey, Tim, do we got a top 5 today? We got a top 5, Ben? This top 5 is actually pretty good, I think. You got a top 5?
All right. Let's end on a lighter note, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. What's our top 5, Ben?
I really hate annoying corporate business jargon.
Timmy,
just read the screen, Ben. Just read the screen, please.
Just read it. Okay, that's a lot easier.
It's so British. It's so British.
Yeah, so I really hate corporate speak and people using words when they can use words simpler. So I thought I'd come up with a top 5.
I'm sorry. We had a comment that came in just now. Breaking news. Seriously, Arsenal should not have been considered as one of the
He's absolutely right. Arsenal are terrible at the moment and are definitely not one of the top 12 clubs in Europe. I agree with you. All right,
top 5 annoying business jargon. Number 5.
And the reason why I mentioned Zara is because she is someone that likes to use corporate speak. So this is dedicated to her and my friend Audrey that might watch this. She uses it too. It's fine. I love them. They're brilliant. But they do these things.
Or which Audrey is this?
Audrey Lusgarten. I don't think you know her, but maybe you will at one point. We'll see.
I'd love to.
She's from Michigan.
All right. So top 5 most annoying things that Zara says. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Just kidding, Zara. Just kidding.
Touch base. Why not just like contact? I'll contact someone. Like I'll call someone. I'll email someone. Touch base is so. I don't know. It's not. I don't know. What do you think? Do you like these kind of words?
I use touch base. I mean, I think I'm probably guilty. I like Zara, am probably guilty of saying things you don't like. I probably shouldn't have a microphone. I say touch base. I like to string. Actually, I'm kind of a fan of seeing how many pieces of jargon I can stick together in one sentence.
Why?
Dar actually clarified no one wants to touch base with you, Ben.
It's true. It's true.
Vinny says touch base is okay. Man, tough crowd.
Probably me. I sometimes use these things because I hear them so much. So I'm not saying that I don't use it. I do.
You are backpedaling so fast right now.
Yeah, these are great. These are my favorite business.
My favorite. Number 4. Tim's over there taking a phone call. Producer Tim's in the background taking. Yeah, you, Tim. That's you. There you go.
Oh, come on.
You have to say it. For the people that are listening, you have to say it.
So I just want to circle back to the point on Clubhouse. What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
It means literally to go back to something, like to.
Or do you work around and do you literally walk in a circle back? Like, who does that? Who actually circles?
We're gonna go back here.
Go on. Why don't you physically circle back?
I'm gonna circle back. I'm gonna go literally physically back to this point over here that we were talking about. Okay, so we're gonna circle back. We're gonna circle, and it's like circle the wagons. I think these come. I feel like these come from like American, like touch base. Isn't touch base like a baseball reference? Like we're gonna touch base. Like
I think it could be actually
the base, and then circle back. I've heard circle the wagons. It would circle the wagons. So wagons travel in like a line, right? Like most vehicles. And then to circle the wagons is when everybody kind of comes together and like talks about how it's going. Like how's it back? How's it back there? You know? See anything crazy? Everybody's wheels intact still?
I don't know what you're talking. I've stopped listening about 20 seconds ago. But
you and everybody else. Number 3.
I don't know if anyone knows this one. This really bugs me. A chicken and egg situation. Do you know what this means?
Chicken and the egg problem. I call it a problem. Chicken and egg problem. Yeah, this is really big in startups. It's really big in tech startups. Do you know what it means or not? You know?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have put it down. So a chicken and egg is when you've got one problem, but you can't solve that problem until you solve the other problem, and you can't solve the second problem until you solve the first problem. Then you're circling back is what you're doing. But repeatedly, because
I like this one. I like this one because there's nothing. Okay, here's why this is different from the first 2 you said. The first 2 you offered suitable substitutes. This one, there's no suitable substitute to this.
It's a complicated scenario. It's complex.
That doesn't explain to me in what way it's complicated.
Okay.
How is it complicated? Well, I can't solve this until I solve this, but I can't solve this until I solve that. Like, that's confusing. You tell me a chicken and the egg, I'm like, oh, because which came first? I got it.
I need some more time to think of another way to rephrase it.
Vinny says that, tell me a better way to phrase that.
I love Vinny.
Vinny agrees. The chicken and the egg is horrible. Vinny, what would you substitute it with, though? Do you just not believe these problems exist?
Don't know. No comment. I don't have an alternative for that one.
I mean, I think we have to keep it if we don't have a suitable. Because it's not like, why don't you just say
egg situation? I don't know. All right, fine. You win. 2-1. 2-1 to me.
2-1. Fair.
This is
number 2.
It's
Tim, this one's.
Oh no! Please no. This is the 2020 one, isn't it? Anyone in 2020 that's had a problem and had to kind of fix it, they've had to pivot.
But these are 2 different things.
Okay, well, they are pivot or part, both. I'll have them both. I'll take them both. Pivot. Why not change an idea or do something different? Because this one didn't work out. This one's failed.
Pivot's
it's
one
gone
word.
wrong.
That's like 7.
We're going to do something completely different. I don't. Pivot is what, midfielders do in football. You have a pivot midfielder and an attacking midfielder. But in business, I don't like it.
Why don't you just call them we're going to do something different midfielder?
Yeah, you can. That was if it means abolishing the word pivot. Yes, Janet's with me on pivot. She's not a fan either.
I mean,
come on.
I like pivot. I'm a fan of pivoting. I'm a fan of it in basketball. The Dream Shake was one of the all-time greatest basketball moves. We can put a link to the Dream Shake, Hakeem Olajuwon's Dream Shake. It was the ultimate pivot move. And then parking ideas.
Stop an idea. Don't do it. You hate it.
No, we're not doing it. We're parking it so we can do it later.
What about pause? Pause is a good word.
No, we're not pausing. We're just parking it. So okay. I used to be in a company. And actually on the whiteboard to start every meeting. They trained us how to do this. They put the agenda on the board. We assigned times for each agenda item. Then we had action items that would come out of it. And then we had a parking lot on the board. We would draw a box and we was like, this is the parking lot. So good ideas and things come up that would get us off agenda, off topic. And then we put them in the parking lot. So it's like, that's idea. We're capturing this idea. You are heard. You are seen. This idea is being captured. We will revisit this idea if we have time at the end of the meeting. It's on everybody in the room to get through this agenda and actually make time to talk about these other things. But we can't talk about this until we finish the agenda. Parking lot. You love that. Stop. You love it. You love
keep it on hold. Pause it. I mean, I don't know.
Amanda says long-term parking, short-term parking. Not a fan of parking.
I don't know where we are. It seems 50-50 on park and pivot.
Amanda, I'm a fan of pivot as well. I'm with you on pivot. Is with you meaning?
Does that mean pivot, what do you mean, Caroline? Against or for?
Yeah, we need to circle back with Caroline once she understands if she's. It speaks to nimble ability. Vinny offers a new one. Put a pin in it. That's like parking. We're going to put a pin in that.
You know what? Let's try that. Vinny's agreed with me a lot this evening. I'm going to go with put a pin in it instead of parking.
So everything's a grenade. So all these ideas are just live grenades that we just need.
They could be electric ideas. They could be dynamite ideas. So I can see where he's coming from.
Well, you don't put a pin in electricity or dynamite.
You do.
I'm just saying. Every one of us parks the car on a almost daily basis. How often have we really handled live grenades? Do we really know what we're talking about? I mean, I don't know. Mary Lee Bratt says another common U.S. saying is up a creek without a paddle. Do you guys have this?
I have heard of that phrase, yeah.
But you don't have creeks over there, do you? What do you call them? Call them creeks?
I think that is a British phrase. I have heard of that phrase, yeah. I think so. There's a lot of British ones as well. Do you have singing from the same hymn sheet? That was up there as well.
Vinny disagreed. He sold you this one, got you to buy it, and then boom, bailed on you. I hate put a pin in it. I may start using pivot.
Is it 2-all? Have I lost this one?
Yeah, it's 2-all. It's 2-all.
2-all. Oh my goodness.
And this is actually a really fun one. All right, number one, Timmy. Tim's on a phone call back there.
BAME people. Do you know what this means?
I got to be honest with you. I've never heard this before in my entire life.
Okay, so the 4 previous ones are kind of humorous, but I like to kind of be a bit silly, but also raise important points. I hope Corinne's watching because we've talked about this. This is actually being banned, I think, by the government here, or stopped by the government. And BAME means Black, Asian, and minority ethnic people. This isn't business jargon, really. But what they used to do is or they still do, some companies still do, is group together Black, Asian, minority ethnics, all as one type of people, and then say that they would all they would all pigeonhole them all under one. And people that are Black or Asian or minority ethnic have actually campaigned against this and said, Black people should be Black people, Asian people should be Asian people. Who are you? And I don't know who created this in some boardroom somewhere.
What did the minority ethnic people say?
Well, that would probably be me, I suppose. And I would disagree with it. I mean, I would go so far as to say you shouldn't even just pigeon Black people. I think you should say, you know, if you're Ethiopian, you're Ethiopian. If you're Jamaican, you're Jamaican. I think if we're going to be truly diverse, you know, I don't believe that you should just say Black people. It's like, imagine if I came to America and you were like, Ben, you came to Dallas and you're like, Ben, what food do you want to eat? I would never say to you, I want to eat Black food. I would say I want to eat Jamaican food or Ethiopian food or, you know, Sri Lankan food.
It's funny because over here we say soul food. Soul food's actually like
Yeah,
a
I've heard of
category
that.
of food,
Yeah.
and soul food is Black American food, is Southern Black American food.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't call it Southern Black American food. It's
I've
kind of
heard
unwieldy
of that
for a sign, but I mean, soul food is basically, but yeah, I mean, you wouldn't say I want white people food. That's definitely
no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. So,
and I think when you say it like that, I think it illustrates the point for white people. It's like, well, how do you like being treated as a monolithic, ethnicity there where all white people are the same? White people would never dream of saying all white people are the same. So why would we categorize all Black people as the same somehow? Like there's no nuance there. There's no variety there. People don't have different interests, different upbringings, different socioeconomic statuses, different.
Let alone grouping Black, Asian, minority ethnics all together. I wanted to raise this one because I thought probably people watching might not know about it, and I wanted to raise it to say this is not acceptable anymore.
Yeah, no, and I think it sounds like everybody's kind of there, right? But the question I would ask you, because over here now we're saying people of color a lot, so people of color and even POCs, and I had a friend of mine, Thomas Bailey, who was like POCs, what's that? I was like, people of color. He's like, y'all say that now? And I'm like, he's like, you're calling us that now? I'm like, well, I mean, and again, but it basically is trying to accomplish the same thing that the BAME thing is trying to accomplish, which is to almost other people, right? And othering is a trend that's actually people are becoming aware of now. You know what I'm saying? To group all people of color.
I don't agree with POC personally. I think it's the same as BAME. I think, there's a lot of discussion about diversity. I think if we're going to, and people sometimes I think if we're going to talk about diversity in the future, and I know we're almost out of time, but we need to really go down to the nitty-gritty of diversity inclusion and not just broad brush things like categories like BAME. We need to really understand different cultures in a kind of analytical way. And I think diversity is really important. And I think that's why the UK government are moving away from phrases like BAME, and POC, I think, is another one in the UK. So it is important, in my opinion.
Yeah, it takes a lot of effort, time, and commitment to really dig in deep to actually understand the nuances. I mean, that's why we talk about long shows versus short shows, Clubhouse versus Twitter, right? It takes conversations on Clubhouse to really unpack the things that go into a person's ethnic identity.
You're right.
And even race as a construct at all.
I agree.
Right? You can't distill 100 into 140 characters.
I agree.
Someone's racial identity, right? So
I agree.
Yeah, but I mean, so I guess we have to kind of slow down. We have to really understand who people are as people. I think shows that are 60, 72 minutes long and Clubhouse discussions are a good place to start, just to bring things full circle.
Yeah, I also put this one down so that if in the event of a tie it was 2-2, you can probably say that I've won 3-2. Unless you want to disagree.
No, because you just taught me a new racist word. So I appreciate that. So you win.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this conversation today. Like, it was good to have a debate and agree and disagree. Yes. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. This has been a lot of fun. I enjoy this. I enjoy this a lot, actually. Let's see here. Tim's asleep at the wheel back there. It's okay. We're not doing the top 5 anymore, Timmy. It's okay. Tim's closing deals. I know. Breaking next cash and checks out there. We have a few people that have hung in till the end. Give Ben a like. Give him a virtual round of applause. Hit that little green button there to give him a little virtual round of applause. Eric Masadi, my buddy, just told me that Ben Cross just got relegated. I just got in a 2-man league. I just got relegated. I thought we had a super league of Bens over here.
You can't get relegated.
Yeah, I lose the show. He says I lose the show. Now Ben Sookia gets the show. Maybe I can come back in a year and try to beat him and see if I can get my show back. Gee whiz. I'm gonna have to go play some team in Spain. Vinny, I'm glad I've never heard this racist word. Great job, Ben. Thanks, Vinny. I appreciate y'all having a sense of humor as we've muddled through things. Ben, do you want to leave us with a final thought, as if this wasn't long enough?
Yeah, it has been long, hasn't it? I think we're living in a really interesting time at the moment. I thought about what to say a little bit. And there's like lots of people like thinking more and analyzing more and going on Clubhouse or protesting, whether it's farmers in India or people in Minneapolis. And I think it's really interesting to be able to have strong beliefs and strong thoughts and actually argue what you believe in. So we had a debate, maybe a light-hearted debate today, but I think we're a really important point where what I want to do is say that whether it's something important like protesting about something, or whether it's a light-hearted debate like what we've had today, is people should feel comfortable to have opinions and share them and not necessarily have a war at the end of it. We can have a beer and have a chat and agree and disagree on certain things, but also kind of shake hands and come to some sort of mutual understanding of each other. So I would encourage anyone watching this to feel comfortable to share their opinions and be open and be honest, and not necessarily think if someone disagrees with you that they're the devil. It's just that people all have different opinions, but we should continue to be open and honest and have these debates, because it will make us kind of learn more things and learn about other people. And I think we're living in a time when that's really important at the moment. And I appreciate you doing that with me today.
Yeah, I mean, but it's kind of a chicken and egg situation in that if we didn't have the relationship, we couldn't have. If we hadn't had the conversations to build the relationship, we wouldn't have the relationship to have the conversations.
We should probably touch base in our underwear a week from now just to see how the conversation has evolved.
Yeah, I mean, we could circle back. We could park this idea, do it later. Talk about baying people all the time.
I think we could do it on Clubhouse as well.
Yes, but I think just to what the one I hate the most is piggyback. Just to piggyback on what you said, I hate that. Because it also, not only is it annoying, it also means an unoriginal thought's about to occur. Yeah. And it's like, so we're basically going to just restate what the last person said. Sweet. Well, to your point, it first starts with getting to know one another and building relationships. And I think that is also how we can start to break down the prejudices and the beliefs in, I can use monolithic. I don't know if that's proper use or not. Monolithic, racial identities is like, once you get to know someone as a person, you no longer see them as a black person or a white person. You see them as a person, Ben Sookia, whose, parents do his laundry and his dishes, and, he's a real person, So yeah, this is awesome, Ben. And thanks for being my friend. Thanks for challenging me and debating me. Thanks for coming on and being, being open and open kimono here with me today. I appreciate that. And thanks to everybody who tuned in. Thank you so much. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for tuning in, taking time out of your day to be here with us, getting active in the comments. The comments were fire today. This has been so much fun. Oh, and look at this. Susie.
Yes.
Suze.
She'll pop up at the end.
Nice, Susie. Well, thank you. Thanks for having such a wonderful son, Susie. Can't wait to meet you soon. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.